Today on America's Court with Judge Ross.
We can't seem to find a happy medium here. Why not?
Your Honor, I think a part of that is the fact that it's not even that Wendy intends to keep the coats, it's that Wendy intends to sell them and profit.
In my courtroom, it's about equity and fairness. Stop. Is that true? I don't want you to understand. I want you to overstand.
Yes, sir.
That's why they pay me the big bucks. Justice should be more than just some foreign concept. I actually want you to learn something. That's not gonna happen. Not up in here, not today. And boom goes the dynamite.
Fair, firm, compassionate. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. Wendy Tolson claims her sister ignored their late mother's wishes to split her estate evenly and says her sibling took 2 valuable furs for herself.
All rise. Remain standing and come to order. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Kevin Ross presiding.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated.
Ms. Tolson is suing Alicia Haley in the amount of $5,700.
All parties have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Deputy Thomas.
Anytime I have relatives suing each other, it's always a challenge because I know that there's more than just the money here. We're dealing with some emotions, we're dealing with some grief. I read the story and I read your complaint and I see these beautiful furs. These were your mom's furs.
Yes, Your Honor.
Let's talk about your mom and why you're suing your sister.
So our mother passed rather unexpectedly, and her will split everything between me and my sister 50-50. Included in that will and her possessions were these furs. So we're here to dispute rightful ownership.
Okay. What's been the relationship with you and your sister Alicia?
My sister and I are 10 years apart, and for the most part, we've had a really good relationship. We've also handled everything with my mother's death fairly well, considering the circumstances.
And Miss Haley, what say you?
I would agree that for the most part, my sister and I have a very amicable relationship. However, this case has certainly shed light on the way she behaves in times of grief.
And what's been your position regarding these furs?
These furs, as Wendy specified, they were split with us 50-50 in the will, as was the deed to our mother's house, which we agreed that we would use as a rental moving forwards. Part of that meant cleaning it out for tenants in the future, and when I went to remove the coats, I did approach Wendy and I asked what she would like me to do with them. In response, she told me that she didn't care and that she was disgusted by them.
Your Honor, if I may, this was 3 weeks after our mother's death. We were still in funeral arrangements. I was very deep in grief. And when she asked me, I told Alicia, I don't care. And if I had said I was disgusted, it was more about the conversation and not about the coats.
What was disgusting about the conversation?
That we were having this so soon after our mother's death.
It was a lot to process.
It was so much to process.
You didn't take it as, I'm really just dealing with the situation here and not necessarily these physical items of property.
No, Your Honor. Had she said, I am disgusted that you would ask me this, I would absolutely have taken it as that. Her words specifically were, no, I'm disgusted by them. And I took that as relinquishing ownership of them to myself.
Because you actually, even though the furs are on this side of the courtroom, they're actually in your possession.
That is correct, Your Honor.
All right. And your feeling is I should be able to have them.
That's correct.
Both of them.
Well, I believe that either I can have both of them or I would like to have the cost of the higher one.
Why not the cost of the lower one?
Because this is part of my inheritance too, Your Honor. And
I
it's
thought
not just
everything was 50-50.
That's correct. But I did offer Alicia the split of that, and she was uninterested.
No, I'm not interested in money made on the blood of animals. Thank you very much.
Okay, let's talk about that.
I have a moral obligation against the
Because
selling.
these are real.
Absolutely they are.
Furs.
They are very real furs. They're family heirlooms of ours. They were handed down to our mother. The mink fur coat was handed by her grandmother and...
The long one?
Yes, the long one. And the fox vest was from her father. So they have a lineage, these coats. And
So you have a strong position in terms of the fact that these are actually real animals.
Absolutely, I do.
But they've been in your family all this time, and your mother embraced having these items.
My mother did embrace these items as items of her heritage, but she, at the same time, was an avid animal lover and advocate for animals during her life.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Our mother loved these furs. She took extreme care with them. She stored them very, very precisely. She also was an animal lover, but she was able to hold both of those things.
I was going to say,
separately.
do they have to be mutually exclusive from each other? You can be passionate about having an animal lover and also saying, you said her father gave her the fox.
Yes.
And the longer one came from who?
Her grandmother.
Her grandmother.
Yes.
So as much as she was an animal lover, she also could appreciate that these were items from people that loved her, and she wanted to preserve them.
Yes, Your Honor. The appeal to her was not in the value necessarily of the coat, but rather the lineage and the heritage.
Coming up on America's Court.
How do you go from $12,000 to $2,000?
Your Honor, I didn't personally get the coats appraised. I thought this would be a much quicker settlement between the two of us.
And later,
he stopped me and said that, oh, I'm recording. Like, he pointed to the camera. He didn't say, like, he said, dude, and I looked and I was like, I apologize. I said, I'm sorry about the interaction, because once again, I didn't know he was live.
if you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. This is America's Court with Judge Ross, Emmy nominated for Outstanding Legal Courtroom Program. America's Court is back with the case of Wendy Tolson, who is suing her sister, Alicia Haley, for breach of contract.
Well, what are you thinking should happen here?
I believe, and I plan, to donate the coats to an animal sanctuary.
Okay, explain that to me.
Your Honor, I spoke with animal sanctuaries in the area, and they communicated to me that these coats can be used as bedding for rescued animals that stimulate a natural environment in a way that,
Oh, I hadn't heard of that.
yes, that in a way that synthetic materials can't necessarily do.
So we can't seem to find a happy medium here. Why not?
Your Honor, I think a part of that is the fact that it's not even that Wendy intends to keep the coats, it's that Wendy intends to sell them and profit off of.
Well, let me hear from you, ma'am, Ms. Tolson.
Yes,
You don't want to keep it.
I would like to have them in my possession, or I would like to have, my intent would be to sell them. Right now, I have financial debts that need to be covered.
Well, why not just buy them from her?
I offered Wendy $2,000 initially as a payout for the coats, which she refused.
Your Honor, I had the coats appraised, and that sum was much too low. I have it here if you'd like to see.
I want to see the appraisal,
It's
absolutely.
on the second page.
2,000 seems for both of them.
For both of them.
You want to, and what did you base that $2,000 on?
I base that on appearances and the fact that I do own a 50% share in both of them.
So the long black full mink, based on this appraisal, is worth $6,800. The fox shorter one, it says it's worth $5,200. That's $12,000. How do you go from $12,000 to $2,000?
Your Honor, I didn't personally get the coats appraised. I thought this would be a much quicker settlement between the two of us.
So now that you know that the disparity between what you're offering and what they are worth is pretty vast, and they look like they're in great condition.
They are.
Would that be something that you would consider as a means of upping the amount that you would be willing to pay?
I would be willing to consider it. However, I think the thing that I would most like to discuss with Wendy is that she did initially relinquish ownership of the coats to me.
Your Honor,
Hence why they're still in my possession right now.
it was based on one conversation 3 weeks after our mother had died.
And you're saying that that one conversation for you was enough to say, oh, okay, she doesn't want to deal with them anymore.
Yes. She felt very dismissive of the whole thing, and I figured she wouldn't care.
All right. This was your mom as well.
Yes.
How are you processing the grief?
I am the type of person, I believe, who needs to keep on keeping on to process my grief.
I'm wondering, well, maybe it hasn't hit you yet.
I think that that is a very real possibility, Your Honor.
So what we have is a situation where I have to reconcile, I should say, whether when you said I don't care, was that you abandoning those items. I find that was not the case. So we've got a couple of options we can work with, because based on the evidence and the testimony before this court, the gavel is going to come down in favor of the plaintiff. We can either do a few things. We can collectively sell the coats, split the monies. We can total up the amounts and say, I will pay you $6,000 to keep both coats. Or, Miss Haley, you can say, all right, fine, I'll take this one, you keep this one. Those are your options. You tell me which one you want to exercise.
I cannot, in good conscience, allow you to profit off of the resale of these furs. And so I am willing to pay her the price of them to maintain ownership of the coats.
You okay with that?
I really wish my sister would consider, if not me, her nephew in this.
Well, if she's going to pay you the monies,
Yes.
then that would also factor into her consideration because she's weighing everything in addition to how she feels, and she feels very strongly about those furs. So now that I've heard what you had to say, Ms. Haley, judgment will be in favor of Ms. Tolson for the amount you asked for. You didn't ask for $6,000. You asked for $5,700. I can't give you more than what you asked for. So you will pay that $5,700. And can we get at least a hug between the two sisters here? I mean, I feel like I need to say that.
Of course.
If for no other reason, for Barbara.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Judgment in favor of $5,700 for the plaintiff. That is the order. Case closed.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant has been ordered to pay $5,700.
I am grateful that the judge took this case.
I am disappointed in the verdict of this case, but I love my sister.
Coming up on America's Court with Judge Ross.
I can tell that there's a little bit of jealousy going on because I'm starting to get a little bit higher in my career, and there was a whole spot for me, just for me to record on the red carpet, and maybe someone at your level wouldn't understand that.
This is America's Court with Judge Ross, Emmy nominated for Outstanding Legal Courtroom Program. Influencer Jackson Brown claims he lost a lucrative contract with a movie studio and says a fellow influencer is to blame for revealing the end of a new movie during his live stream film review. Mr. Brown is suing Roman Miller in the amount of $4,000.
So you all are influencers, huh? This is a thing. How long have you been doing it now, Mr. Brown?
I've been posting content for about 3 to 4 years now.
What got you involved in this space of wanting to be an influencer on social media?
Well, you know, sir, all my best friends call me Powers. You can feel free to call me Powers, too, if you want.
No, I'm calling you what your mama named you.
Okay,
all right?
that works, sir.
Mr. Brown, let's talk about why we are here. You're saying Mr. Miller owes you $4,000.
He does owe me $4,000.
Because?
I got a call from a studio to get invited to a world premiere of one of the biggest franchises in the world. I can't say it because I am under an NDA disclosure.
Okay.
And I'm under contract, so they offer to pay me to do a movie review. So I'm so excited, and they make it very, very clear that under no circumstances am I to reveal special character appearances or definitely not the ending.
And what about you, Mr. Miller? Were you also invited to the premiere?
Yes, he invited me as his guest, his +1 to the premiere.
And so you're both at the premiere, and then what happened?
On the live stream, Roman comes on and spoils the ending of the movie in front of, I don't even know, it was probably 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people. And so because of that, I get a call from the studio the next day saying, you've breached your contract, and now I'm being blacklisted all across Hollywood.
Coming up on America's Court.
How would he know if you don't tell him what it is you're doing?
You know, and maybe that's my fault because I can tell that there's a little bit of jealousy going on because I'm starting to get a little bit higher in my career.
This is America's Court with Judge Ross, Emmy nominated for Outstanding Legal Courtroom Program. America's Court is back with the case of Jackson Brown, who is suing Roman Miller for tortious interference.
Now, did you tell Mr. Miller you were doing a live stream?
No.
I didn't
I'm
say
sorry.
exactly that, but he knows.
Well, I asked you, but you answered.
Yes, I didn't have no awareness that he was doing the live stream. I go up to him, I go like, I want to just talk about this movie. We're passionate about film. That's my film brother.
Right.
And I go up to him, like I said, I didn't know he was recording. I didn't know he was live. So
And
I
did
was
you
just
reveal information that was maybe a little bit too much?
Yes, I
You
can
did a little
admit-
extra.
Yes, I can admit that I said the post-credit scene of the film.
Okay.
But I wasn't
Did you
aware.
mention anything about the ending?
Yes, I did. Just the post-credit scene, though.
And are you, because that's a lot of information to get out before you say, no, man, we can't have this conversation right now.
I was just honestly shocked, and all I could get out before he just rambled on to spoil the whole movie was just, dude, I'm streaming here, you know?
Do you recall that?
After I said it, he stopped me and said that, oh, I'm recording. Like, he pointed to the camera. He didn't say, like, he said, dude, and I looked, and I was like, I apologize. I said, I'm sorry about the interaction, because once again, I didn't know he was live. He didn't make it awareness.
Did
There
he
was no such thing.
apologize?
Yeah, I was kind of weak though. I just think, regardless of if it was live or not, I'm clearly in the middle of doing something. So for you to just come in
Wait,
and just,
hold on a moment. But as an influencer, you could be taking pictures, you could be taking video, you could be live streaming. How would he know if you don't tell him what it is you're doing?
you know, and maybe that's my fault because I can tell that there's a little bit of jealousy going on because I'm starting to get a little bit higher in my career, and there was a whole spot for me, just for me to record on the red carpet, and maybe someone at your level wouldn't understand that.
Now, see, now you're being dismissive of him.
Judge Ross's verdict when America's Court returns. This is America's Court with Judge Ross, Emmy nominated for Outstanding Legal Courtroom Program.
You're suing under a theory of what's called tortious interference. That's a very fancy way of saying that there was a harm committed and it was committed against you because of his interference. Well, in order for you to prove that, there has to be certain elements that have to be established. One, there has to be a contract. You had the contract with the studio, so you are able to easily check that box. The second thing is the person who interfered had to know about the contract. Did you know about the contract?
No, I didn't. I didn't know at all.
Did you tell him about the contract?
Not explicitly.
So that's a no. But the other aspect of this is, was there any sort of intentional interference? Did he do it on purpose? Was he trying to sabotage? The other element was, is there any justification for his behavior? And finally, are there damages? Well, damages, we know that there are damages because it was $4,000 down the drain that you would have otherwise have had in your pocket. But you got to hit all 5 of those elements. And based on the evidence and the testimony before this court, the gavel has to come down in favor of the defendant. So as a result, your matter's dismissed. That is the order, and I wish you the best. Case closed.
All rise.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim has been dismissed.
If you just told me about the situation, none of this would have happened.
I'm sorry you see it that way, and best of luck to everything. I hope you achieve greatness.
This has been a production of Allen Media Group.